Okay, so before we get into today's fireside chat, could I ask you both just to give a short introduction on yourselves, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start. My name is Goran Novkovic. Actually, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you have a good event so far. Again, my name is Goran Novkovic, and I'm professional engineer of Canada. I have around 25 years of electrical controls, engineering, and automation and industrial cybersecurity experience across multiple industry sectors, certainly including electrification, EV infrastructure, and electric mobility. I'm currently with Toronto Transit Commission, which is the largest Canadian public transit agency, and we have a very large e-bus EV infrastructure. Again, as you can see, I'm Director of Industrial Cybersecurity. I work with the different stakeholders, with governance, with operators, with the service and technology providers, with asset owners, and I'm helping them to achieve industrial cybersecurity protection of their critical infrastructure and at the same time to protect our future. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Goran. Hany?
Yeah, my name is Hany. I'm working as a Chief Technology Officer at Vcharge. So I have been a serial tech entrepreneur for the last 25 years. I'm into technology startups. Now I'm CTO for Vcharge. We are building electric vehicle charging infrastructure and smart infrastructures like autonomous infrastructure.
Thank you very much. We're very lucky to have you both here, and hopefully in this last section we'll be bringing together some of the strands that have been coming through throughout today as we're looking at the future of this industry. And so we're going to be talking about AI and autonomous technologies and how this is revolutionising the EV space by enhancing vehicle performance, improving safety, and creating smarter, more efficient transportation systems. And we know these technologies will continue to evolve, creating new opportunities for cleaner, safer, and more accessible mobility solutions. And we are seeing small-scale operations of fully automated EVs with no human safety driver on board in places like the US and China. But I'd like to open up with asking, how far away are we actually from a true transformation to this model? Hany, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I think we are like 5 to 10 years far from full autonomous adoption. And that's actually due to lack of regulation and infrastructure and public trust. So we are not far away. We already started, but I think it's 5 to 10 years till we take over full autonomous operation.
Okay, yeah, I have opinion actually that we are not ready yet. Like, so even if we talk about our technical and technology capabilities, we can agree that we have seen nicely and steady progress. And as you know, we have pilots and demos and use cases and so on. But I would say actually that technology capabilities are not our biggest problem. Actually, I think that the bigger problem to make it happen, and I don't know actually how soon it will gonna happen, I think that we actually have management problems and the problems that are related to our current people and processes that we have. So like, simply saying, even from cybersecurity perspective, especially when we're talking about larger public agencies and systems, I would say that from cybersecurity perspective, we're not ready yet. Also including operational perspective, we're not ready yet. I don't even think that from a regulatory and governance perspective, we're ready yet. And also public trust and confidence in those systems, I also think that we are not there yet. So shortly, answer would be that technology and technical capabilities, I think that we can achieve that we are not too far, but all those cybersecurity, operational and other things that are more related to management, I think actually that we still have to sort things out.
That's really interesting. So I think, Hany, you've got a very optimistic outlook there, and Goran, a bit more on the pessimistic side. And it sounds like what you're saying is a lot of the challenges are around systems, processes, trust even, rather than the actual technology. It seems like the technology is there or thereabouts, but we have a whole evolution of the stuff that sits around it to get there. So what are your thoughts on that, Hany, with regards to the barriers of, progressing to this truly automated model?
Yeah, of course, there is a lot of barriers actually limiting this technology for the adoption. But I think the biggest barrier is the people trust. It's a trust. We as humans don't trust the autonomous vehicle to drive by itself yet. So I think technology is fully ready. I think the only barrier now is limiting this adoption is the trust. So I will just tell a very short story. I was traveling with a friend of mine and let my Tesla drive all the way, like activating the autopilot. In the first of the trip, my friend was very afraid of letting the Tesla drive. He was saying to me, please, you drive. I don't trust the autopilot yet. That was early in the morning. When we back in the round trip in the night, he was begging me to let Tesla drive because I was feeling asleep and sleeping. So he changed his mind in one day. After he tried and he saw witness, like seeing is believing. He believed that when we are in our way, that Tesla can depend, or he can depend on the autopilot more than the human. So this very short story tells that it's all about the trust.
I have a bit of a confession. It was really interesting what Hamza was talking about from Fully Charged earlier with regards to end-of-range anxiety. I work in the mobility world. I do not drive an EV, and end-of-range anxiety is one of, a really big barrier for me specifically. I'm a working mom. I have a more than full-time job. I've got lots going on. The last thing I can think about is popping my car on charge. I am that person who is likely to run out of battery in the middle of Shakeside Road. So what do you think it is that's going to really sort of shift people's mindsets to these things that seem to have such significant barriers for people? Goran?
Yeah, actually, I want to kind of say that I'm not pessimistic, I'm realistic, actually. I'm coming from that engineering background. So why I'm saying, actually, that we are not ready yet, especially talking about large public agencies. What I see in practice is actually, especially from my cybersecurity perspective, is that most of those projects that I've been working on is actually they don't include cybersecurity at all, or cybersecurity is isolated or done after the fact. So if you're talking about safety and security of those systems, I strongly believe that cybersecurity must be included from initial design of those systems. And until we achieve that, I don't think actually that we'll be ready. Secondly, as I said, from operational perspective, we have to understand that actually we are not just protecting electric vehicles. We have entire ecosystem which is very dynamic, interconnected, and so on. So I see that actually there is a great level of fragmentation between those systems. We have a technology silos, we have a data silos, and we don't have that unified view into operational environments that actually our operational cybersecurity, physical security, and other teams should have. So in order to make us ready, we need to actually break down those existing silos that we have right now, and very transparently, I don't even see that we have a good government regulation, especially when we talk about those larger agencies and public systems within cities. And XYZ, everything, if we put together, I don't actually, the public is ready and have a confidence in those systems, even if you have them next day, right? So what I'm trying to say, if we put all the check marks, if we ensure that cybersecurity is included, if we eliminate the silos that we have, if we have a strong government framework regulation in place, I think things can happen.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And certainly I think government investment regulations, policies, we're certainly, from our perspective as an outsourcing provider, seeing a shift in that in Saudi Arabia specifically within the giga projects. And I think those greenfield sites are actually fantastic because they are able to create something from scratch with the right infrastructure around really significant projects that have got investments. Do you think there is a difference, and what is that difference between trying to do this type of thing in a greenfield site and a brownfield site? Do you have a view on that, Hany?
Can you repeat again, sorry?
Do you think there is a difference in terms of trying to make autonomous vehicles work in greenfield sites versus brownfield sites? So, like in Saudi Arabia, where they're building Qiddiya, which is a brand new city from scratch, where they can put the infrastructure in from the start, rather than retrofitting infrastructure into existing cities?
Yeah. Of course, if we can consider the infrastructure, the autonomous vehicle or autonomous cars in the infrastructure, when we in the building phase, that would be give us an advantage. So retrofitting is not always working. So I think the vehicles now is very smart, but the infrastructure is still don't communicate with the vehicle. So we need to have this infrastructure is communicating with the vehicle. So in order to do that, we need to consider from the initial stage of building the infrastructure. The urban cities and the smart cities like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Riyadh now actually is considering that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're getting to create and set those policies from scratch as well. So I think that's useful. Okay, in terms, do you have a red line that as we progress towards this vision that you believe that the industry shouldn't cross when it comes to autonomy, AI and electrification? Come to you, Goran.
Yeah, so red lines, like, we actually, again, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but like, we have red lines everywhere. Like, but one of the biggest, talking again, me as a cybersecurity professional, a biggest red line that we should not cross is to jeopardize safety and security. So, because if we're talking about acceleration of innovation, and if we accelerate innovation in EV and electric mobility without accelerating industrial cybersecurity, we are actually accelerating a risk. Mm-hmm. So in innovation in EV and electric mobility has to go hand in hand with innovation in industrial cybersecurity practices. And like, I see many issues that we have right now. Again, like, I commonly see that you have a system put in place, again, without any cybersecurity consideration. And then I see that cybersecurity teams have a mandate to protect those infrastructure, but they simply sometimes don't have a clue how those system works and what exactly needs to be protected. So don't take me wrong, I don't say that cybersecurity is capable of protecting EV innovation and electric mobility ecosystems. What I'm trying to say that also in our cybersecurity, we need to innovate. And we need to build that operational visibility or understanding of our environment to be able to protect them. Because again, EV innovation requires cybersecurity innovation, and we cannot be kind of naive or misled that with traditional cybersecurity practices that we have right now, we will be able to protect EV innovation. And also very important consideration that I would put here is that we also need to build our skill set. I will be negative or realistic. I also see that because electric mobility is so hot and popular right now, I see actually that many cybersecurity professionals is actually claiming expertise in this field, which is kind of not really accurate. So in order for us to be effective, it's not only about technology, but we also need the people with the right skill set, right experience, right knowledge about electric mobility and EV infrastructures. As I said, is very complex. We need to have that skill set to do that.
People, systems and processes.
Yes, people.
Okay, great, thank you.
Processing
Hany, anything outside of cybersecurity that you think is a line we shouldn't cross?
Yeah, actually, it's a trade-off. So people usually trade something like we trade our privacy for social media and connectivity. So same as autonomous vehicle, if we need this kind of convenience, we need to trade off some safety and security. So of course there is a vulnerability, but for me, I would take this risk. I will trade the safety and security for convenient.
I would also question whether we can ever go truly autonomous and the safety around that and the liability issues that come with it if there are any accidents or incidents. Okay, we'll move on to our final question then before we go to the audience for Q&A. So if you had to place a bet on one innovation that you would back that would define the next phase of this revolution, what would it be and why? Goran.
Okay, since we don't have much time, I will be very short kind of here. My next bet is, as I said, would be something that I call industrial cybersecurity intelligence, which is actually our target state. So we want to create an environment that we have a full operational visibility and understanding of environment that we are protecting. And with having industrial cybersecurity intelligence within organizations, we will be able to design and implement cybersecurity solutions that will be tailored for environments that we have, including all the prevention, detection, and response capabilities. And it's very important to have that in place, so to be able to protect infrastructures that we have. And the last final note, I'm very committed to innovation. As I said, we need to innovate. So I would encourage everyone to challenge existing tools, to challenge existing solutions and practices that we have right now, because we need the new ideas and we all need to be creative and innovative, because that's the only way that we can move forward.
Great, thank you. Hany, final thoughts?
Yeah, so of course, if I have to bet on a next big thing on autonomous technology, you know, there's a lot of use cases for autonomous. So for me, the most important use case is the auto parking and charging. So I need my car to go park itself and charge itself and come back. It's like the valet, but everywhere. So nobody loves parking or charging. So that would be actually the most easy use case for autonomous. We are talking about very low speed and very short distance when it comes to parking. So now the car can drive itself, like the full self-driving is almost popular now, and robot taxi. But the case I will bet, the use case I will bet on in the next thing is AI to drive the car for parking and charging only.
And you have some technology that does that that you showed me just before we came on stage. So
Ye-
you need that technology. Hey,
Yeah.
he's your man.
Yeah, actually, we started to implement this use case. I think this use case for parking and charging is easy to regulate because, again, it's short distance and low speed. And also, it's for masses, for all people who love to find a parking, to park or charge. I think no one.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your insights, both of you. And we will hand over to audience questions.
Thank you very much, Samantha and the panel, Hany and Goran. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, yeah, we have a question here. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Jay Krishnan, and I'm the CEO of the company called Bob Labs. It's great to understand the essence you put on cybersecurity. Sometimes in the market, when you have too many players on the EV charging, for example, and you're reducing your cost, sometimes it's so hard to see like how the cybersecurity is actually implemented in some of these hardwares. It's hard to see, and how from a commission point, how do you regulate to understand the security aspects of a hardware solution which needs to be taken into account? How do you control it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's very interesting comment actually that you made, and I will be very open with you. I actually found that even in Canada, I was doing some assessment on electric mobility systems, like e-depots and so on. Actually, globally speaking, everybody talking about innovation and everybody rushing to deploy those systems. Very frankly, actually, nobody talking about cybersecurity. And actually, we could not find company that it says, okay, we are doing cybersecurity for EV infrastructure. And you kind of understand, we're not talking about EV vehicles. We're actually talking about EV charging infrastructure, BESS systems, EMS systems, so on. So we actually have a very large and complex ecosystems. Going back to your question, it's not even about protecting hardware. I'm actually more concerned when we put everything together and we have so many vendors and there's so many micro solutions within that ecosystems. I'm actually more focused, are we understanding what we have? Because I commonly find that people are telling me, hey, we got this, and nobody explain us what kind of hardware and software we have. So, but we don't know actually what we have. So can you help us? So most of those asset owners don't even know what hardware or software they have, and they don't even know what needs to be done from cybersecurity. And as I said, even if I look from assessment, we could not find a qualified vendor who can say, hey, we are doing actually simple cybersecurity assessment. So it's very interesting, and I would encourage everyone, if you want to do some startups or anything like that, maybe cybersecurity in EV would be your game.
Good tip. Good tip. Can I just put something to you? If it's that change happens because it needs to, in other words, necessity is the mother of invention, and given that we have an aging population around the world, I mean, I'm in that cohort of baby boomers, they're called, but if you look at Japan, if you look at Europe, you look at America, all these older people, surely the autonomous vehicle solves a problem which is going to hit us very soon, which is old people like me, or as I get old, we can drive because we don't need to drive. We can still be mobile. So I kind of wonder whether that thing is going to be the trigger for making this really happen, and it would fit your 5 to 10 year timeline, I suspect.
I think
You
it's
know,
convincing that population, though, isn't it?
yeah, no, listen, it's 66, so I'll be 76. I'll be quite happy to a robot drive me, trust me. No, more than that.
I don't think I could get my nan in a self-driving car, for
you
sure.
know, if it's a better choice, it's definitely better than a bus. But I think your story about Tesla was very revealing. The individual who said, no, I'd rather you drive, but then because you were tired, trusted the robot more. I think that was a fascinating story. So, yeah, very good. One more time for this wonderful fireside chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're nearly done. So we'll just get a nice picture.